work is something many of us do. And the one thing I notice is that people just do it as a means to money. And I want people to do it because they love it. And I'm a firm believer in being a workaholic and a lifeaholic. And I try to put those two together. So I want to teach you today ways to fall back in love with whatever it is that you do.
All right. So work. It's something that you're really good at. And I know that when you were a little girl, you always dreamt of, growing up to be in the mortgage business, right?
No,
Because
no,
you
I
just
didn't.
love it so
I
much.
was I was gonna be. No one dreams of growing up to be in mortgage. Mortgage is boring. I'm a nerd, but mortgages are boring, so it
Yeah.
goes. I was going to be a teacher. That's what I was going to do.
Okay.
But I did find mortgage, and I love it.
Yeah. So how do you, you love what you do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And, has it always been that way? You were just like, this is fantastic. I dreamt of this.
It always ebbs and flows. And I tell a lot of my team and who I work with, you always have to fall back in love. And you always have to find a reason why you do what you're doing. And so with mortgages, right, it's something that the economy, the market, it's easy to fall out of love with. I will say, when I look at it's been 20, 23 years in this industry. And number one is who I surround myself with. Who you surround yourself with matters. If you don't have fun, if you don't respect them, if you don't like them, you spend more time with who you work with than you do your family, your spouse. There's a gal I work with and I talk to her more than I probably talk to you, which is crazy town, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's who you work with and you have to be passionate about what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's something where I oftentimes it's like, oh, I'm in mortgage, but it's so much more than that. Like, yeah, I help people get, get loans for houses, but you're also in sales, you're also in marketing. I mean, it's kind of finding, what it is that you really like about what you're doing, because there's so many different aspects to whatever your career is.
Yeah.
You can find something that you like about it. And I know that there was a podcast and I forget who it was on there, but you had referenced it.
Dabo Sweeney, probably.
Yeah.
I
I think
was
you
listening to
tell the
Dabo
kids
Sweeney.
about the,
Yes.
you make them listen to it, I believe.
The kids know that if I find a good podcast, they listen to it
Yeah.
in the car. It's always playing. Dabo Sweeney was interviewed. And I'll tell you, I love sports, but I'm not this huge sports person. I won't even know the difference between a team. But he was talking about no matter what you do, be the best at it. If you are the janitor, you better be the best, right? If you're a quarterback, you better be the best. If you're the receptionist, if you're a leader, if you're a teacher, it's taking whatever you have, whatever is in front of you, and what do you have to do to be the very, very best at it? And I took that to heart because we're all given this pathway, and we can either make it horrible or we can make it great. And so I choose to make it great. And so that was just a great piece of advice that I was given many years ago, is just to make the best of it and be the best at it.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like there's so many people out there that are in a work environment, like in their career or whatever it might be, that they don't love what they do. Like they actually hate what they do. Like how would you tell someone to fall in love with what they do?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I do math for a living, right? So it's kind of hard to fall in love with math every single day. Not very many people can do that. Naturally being a social person, right?
Yeah.
So when I go through and I look at what it is that I do for work, I have found one, who I surround myself with, right? That matters. But really, like, I look at the actual tasks that I do and how can I have fun with it? And what's the importance behind it? We're blessed, right? We get to go through with home ownership. And when I look back on my home as a child, like every memory is based out of the home. So come on, like it's pretty clear it's an incredible job to have. But I was able to find this good when I thought, I just have to do math all day. I get to help people purchase an investment where all of the memories are going to be made for their kids, their spouse, their family, right? Then you go, it's like the American dream to own a home. And so you're creating that. And then it's the stepping stone for wealth. You and I, we know real estate has been one of the best gifts we've been given. And when I truly believe in what it is that I'm doing, then it makes it a lot easier that's there. So it's who you surround yourself with. Find your why behind it. Like whatever, if let's say you're working at a school and you're a custodian at a school, that is so important because you're making it so the kids have a safe place to go. They might not have a safe place to go every single day at home. They have a clean place to go. They might not have a clean place outside of their life. We want everyone to be healthy. So like what you're doing is so important for the safety of a child, the safety of a teacher. They need to go here. These kids are going to be the future leaders. Like I looking at it going, as a custodian, you can find that. If you're scooping ice cream and that's your job and you're like, I hate scooping ice cream, right? Okay, but this is like a celebration. The kid could have just hit their first home run. They could have had the worst day at school, right? Mom and dad are bringing them, as I get emotional, to get ice cream. Like literally, I can cry over something so simple because you have to find passion in what you do. So I can do mortgages and be a math nerd all day long, and I'm helping people achieve the greatest thing that's there. But you could take something so simple as scooping ice cream and knowing that you're making a difference in the lives of kids. Like find passion, and that creates love.
Okay. So, what is the genius zone? That's something that, you've talked about before. Like what is that?
Yes.
And I mean, how do you apply that in all different fields?
So it's a book. So the Genius Zone is a book. If you want to read it, this is my tip. This is a trick that I learned because I don't always have, if I find a book, hours and hours to read it or to listen to an audiobook, even if I fast forward it. So go on Spotify and you can Google an author podcast interview and you can find a 30-minute interview on their book and you've basically read the book. So there's my tip and trick. But going into the Genius Zone, there's a worksheet you can do. And what I want you to do is take your week at a glance. So you being a loan officer, and I want you to say, okay, as a loan officer, Monday through Friday, and you take your calendar and you have different meetings all throughout the day. And I want you to score them a 1 through 4. 4 being you leave that meeting and you are on fire. You're contagious. Like you are so excited and jazzed that everyone wants to be around you. Okay. A 3 is you're leaving that meeting and you're feeling really good, right? Mm-hmm. You might not be, everyone wants to be around you during that time, but you're feeling pretty good leaving that meeting. A 2 is, it's an okay task. I don't want to do it every day, all day long. And a 1 is, never have me go to that meeting again. Never have me do that task, right? So it's this energy level of 1 to 4. Well, if you look at your week at a glance and you see how many 4s you have, how many 3s, how many 2s, how many 1s, how can you eliminate your 1s and 2s and live your life in 3s and 4s? That's your genius zone. That 4 is a genius zone. If we all could spend our life in 3s and 4s doing the activities that set us on fire, that get us so excited, think of the life we're living. That's how we fall back in love with our job. That's how we become masters at whatever we do. But so often we live our life in our 1s and 2s. So let's say you're in a position where you do this activity and you're like, I'm stuck. My 1s and 2s are my job and I don't get to do the 3s and 4s. That's how you either meet with your leadership, you meet with your boss, you find a pathway of, I've done this. I now know what my career trajectory should look like. How do I get here? How do I get in that? Or you might not even be in the right career path. Here's your answer. You've just figured it out by doing this activity to get you to a space of where you can live your best life through work.
So what are some hacks that you would recommend? Like if you're, you're working and you're in sales, you're an entrepreneur, what would you advise someone to do?
I'm going to go back to coaching. So my background was I was a competitive jump roper, like double dutch, So going into it, I had a coach, right? Kids have coaches, they're right. Athletes have coaches. You look at the top people in their profession. If you're in the NFL, if you're in basketball, they have coaches, and there's a reason. If you want to be the master of your craft, you need to be coached or mentored by someone. A lot of organizations will have it internally. So they will have a coach on staff, you'll have a leader that's there, you'll have a boss. Ask them to mentor you. Ask them to coach you. So if you figure out your genius zone, you do an activity and you truly do your genius zone and you figure it out, have a coach. That's number one. I think so many people think, that's for the special type of person. Anyone
Yeah.
can have a
Or
coach.
like, oh, I don't need a coach. I'm at this level now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think everyone should be seeking something greater. So coaching, that's number one. Number two, is it for you to truly track your activity? So often we think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? If you're in sales, if I talk to 50 people a day, but are you doing true sales calls, or are you talking to 50 people?
I'm the king of that.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I was so busy all day. It's like, yeah, you just cleaned out your email.
Exactly.
Like you did nothing to actually help your business. Yeah.
It's being strategic. In most sales at jobs, you only need to have 2 hours of sales a day to be in the top 1%. Like true outgoing phone calls, not emails, text messages, video, right? And so often you're hiding behind email. You're not tracking the activity that's really going to be a benefit for you. So I think you go into coaching, you go into truly tracking your activity, calendaring and time blocking. I was like, I'm never going to time block.
Yeah.
I'm a free spirit.
I wanted to ask you about that because you have I've never seen anybody master their calendar like you have. Like literally, I always talk to people and they're like, they assume that I would know because we're married.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I have no idea. I haven't talked to her. Like she's like, nope, I got back to back. And I'm like, I have to get on your calendar literally sometimes to, talk about.
If it's in 9 to 5, if it's during the working hours,
right?
And getting in there. So before I was such a free spirit, I would try to make my own, like I'll just do a checklist and I always heard people say, once you can master your calendar, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And I truly got into that. So, and then it was the most freeing feeling, and I could accomplish anything at that point. And so mastering the calendar, where number one is you should have a daily team meeting. If it's with yourself. So we were just with our best friends last night. She's a teacher, right? She said, I have to go into work today just to get organized for the week.
Mm-hmm.
A teacher
just makes
is
it
saying,
that much easier.
yes, it's not like she's just showing up every day.
Right.
So no matter what you're doing, if you can go in and you can look at your week at a glance and then your day at a glance, and you know what you're preparing yourself for, I think that's huge. But being able to schedule it out. So in the morning, it's a daily team meeting where you huddle. If it's by yourself, you're the only person that's there, that's fine. If you have a whole team of people, I do a daily team meeting every single day. I know at 9 a.m. I am on the phone with Michelle and Corey, and we are going. And then it's your sales activity next. What you'll find is if it's sales or like what is predominant of your business, there's a part in your day where you're most energized. For me, it's morning. Some people, it might be afternoon, right? Wherever you can find that you are like your best self in the day, that's where you do your most important activity. So for us being in mortgage, it's sales activity. That's going to happen for me in the morning because I'm on my best self at that point. Then I go into the activities I need to do for the day. So I have a theme for everything. If you're in sales, you're going to have a theme. If it's going to be a lender, you're going to have realtor calls. You're going to have database calls. You're going to have your VIP calls. You're going to have business people calls. You're going to have builder calls, right? Those are your themes every single day. So every business, you're going to have a different theme. If you're a teacher, you might have 6 themes in a day: math, reading, writing, social studies, right? So you're going to go through and you're going to have these themes, and then you make sure that you know your theme in the morning, and that's your focus for the day. And then at the end of the day, that's when you save all of your email, all of your paperwork, all your clerical work to be done. So we don't do a good enough job of structuring. If our kids behaved at work how some of us behave as employees, they'd be fired. they'd get F's. They'd be grounded and wouldn't be able
Right.
to go do fun things because they're just flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah.
And so I think for me to fall back in love, I truly treat it as like it's a challenge. It's a game. It's a competition. I gamify everything. And that's what makes me enjoy it. And then also hopefully be able to be one of the best at it too.